now, the most reasonable talk show host from Sop Choppy to the Redneck Riviera, here is Bob Kerrigan.
And welcome, Bill and Bob, tonight on Within Reason. We have a lot of interesting stories we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, we started arguing 5 minutes before the show started.
Well,
we couldn't wait until we got on TV to have an argument.
Well, he started it. Well, let me ask you this. What do you think about Arlen Specter jumping ship?
Oh, I think Arlen Specter does what politicians do and act in his best interest.
He did.
And as a Democrat, he can get elected. As a Republican, he couldn't even get nominated. So he wants to stay in the Senate and have all those perks and stuff. So he jumped.
He truly is a moderate.
Yeah,
you know, he is,
and he was out of step with what's become the Republican Party. Well, so I don't blame him for doing it.
I mean, I don't think any of us that are more on the left than the right ought to delight in the idea of the devastation of the Republican Party, because what's happened is pretty obvious, and Arlen Specter said it, even though I think it was disingenuous because he did it to be reelected, as you pointed out, others have too. The idea that the religious right, these wacko religious right people, these so-called pro-life people, the gun people, in others, they picked up these single-issue voters and they put this stack of them together, okay? And the problem is they alienated all the pretty moderate Republicans.
Yes. Yeah.
And so
the party's got polarized.
They handed the party over. I heard this, and I think it was accurate. And I've forgotten where I got this, but they said that the right-wing side of the Republican Party told John McCain that if he didn't go with Sarah Palin, that there would be a floor fight and it would be bloody and they would win it. And that he had no choice but to take Sarah Palin. If that's the case, it well could have cost him the presidency.
Yeah.
To pick her. And so that to me was sort of the beginning of the end for the Republican Party.
It is the proper way for them to survive, to become the loyal opposition arguing for restraint of this tremendous and awful explosion of government. But it looks like they're going to cling even tighter to that Sarah Palin kind of wing of the party, and that is really scary. Think about this. If the direction of a major party in this country is being driven by revelation, that, nobody revealed anything to me. Right. So some revelation that got revealed to somebody else, like thousands of years ago, that's hearsay. And besides that, it doesn't make any sense. So, and that's, it's in the Bible, and that's why we ought to behave a certain way, and that's going to govern terrible. And now politicians have to be overtly religious. Our founding fathers never would have made the cut.
Never
because they weren't.
Now I want to refer you to this article, which I think you'll find fascinating. It's in this month's Harper's. And the title is, this by Jeff Charlotte, Jesus Killed Muhammad.
Oh, yeah.
The Crusade, you did, for the Christian military.
Yeah.
Was it shocking?
Scary. Yeah.
Since Ronald Reagan, well, for those of you who haven't read it, here's what's happened to the chaplains in our military. Since Ronald Reagan and his enlightened SNL debacle government, their golden boy, Ronald Reagan, your golden boy, actually.
Yeah. Well, he did some good things and some bad things.
Not very many, but in any event, Ronald decided that what we really needed to do was not have representative chaplains for the faiths that were represented in the service. He thought that was kind of, wasn't advancing the evangelical mission. This is where this all started. Yeah. And so we have now in the military not an equal distribution of chaplains based on religious faith. We have 90% of these people are.
They lumped all the Protestants together, and then all the Protestants are,
They are extreme
evangelicals.
Let me read this to you. In this book, Under Orders, the author seeks to counter that alleged bias by making the case for the necessity of religion, preferably Christian, for a properly functioning military unit. Lack of belief or the wrong beliefs, he writes, will, quote, bring havoc to what needs cohesion and team confidence. McCoy's manifesto comes with an impressive endorsement, and this is a crusher, okay? Under Orders should be in every rucksack for those members, for those moments when soldiers need spiritual energy reads a blurb from, guess who? David Petraeus.
Oh, dreadful.
The senior U.S. commander in Iraq, who's now at CENTCOM. Isn't it CENTCOM?
Yeah, I think it is CENTCOM.
Until last
moved up
September,
a
after which he
stop.
moved to the top spot, U.S. Central Command, in which position he now runs U.S. operations from Egypt to Pakistan. When the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, MRFF, demanded an investigation of Petraeus' endorsement and apparent violation of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, not to mention a few other things, not to mention the Bill of Rights, as this article says, Petraeus claimed that his recommendation, listen to this, was supposed to be private. A communication from one Christian officer to another. This is, I mean, having prayer before you go on a mission where you're blowing people up. I mean,
Well,
that's
how about
what
one of Bush's generals? I mean, these people are not just generally in favor of religion. The Christian religion is right, and that's why we're in a war with the Muslims, and they're wrong, and it's kind of a jihad.
Yeah, it is. It's a crusade,
Yeah.
and that's what Bush said. And that is the view, I think,
Of a lot of
in
people.
the Middle East, and a lot of people in the Middle East. But if we say our ends justifies any means we use because we're the big brothers and we understand everything and we're better than the rest of the world, eventually, as you point out quite eloquently, the ideal of what this country is really whacked.
Yeah.
It's really undermined.
And if the idea of this country is we're a Christian nation, so we get to go on a crusade against somebody else, I mean, it just turns the idea of this country on its head.
This article and the I think well-substantiated proposition that we have allowed the military to be infiltrated, and I don't know how else to say this, by these wacky evangelical right, and we have destroyed the balance of our Presbyterians, our Methodists, our Jews, our Catholics, our Episcopalians, our Mormons or whatever. We have destroyed that balance of our chaplains relative to that population and allowed it to be infiltrated where 90% of these people are having, you have to, in order to advance with some of these nuts.
in the prayer group or else.
You've got to be.
Yeah, it's coercive.
It is coercive. And the idea that General Petraeus is advocating that everybody has one of these religious books that some nuts written that tells you how you're supposed to be a Christian soldier. I mean, it's like, wait just a second. Wait just a second. We have soldiers defending this country because of the Constitution of the United States. I mean, Jesus would be a pacifist. I mean, what are they talking about? How does that tie into Christianity? I still don't understand the connection. Do not understand what that connection is or how they can make the argument that there's something that ought to be taken from the faith of the Christians and involved in the military. It seems to me mutually exclusive.
Well, that Harper's article goes on. It really makes a good explanation for it about the need among the military people to have something that's theirs and to have this creed, and this extreme religion's been substituted for that. And
as opposed to an unwavering commitment to the Constitution of the United States, the principles of freedom, the fight for democracy, and the things that we all hold dear. Well, Bill, it's been a pleasure again having you on tonight. And we'll do it next week if it's okay with you. Yeah, it's okay with me, except I'll be out of town. Well, that's not okay. All right, Bill and Bob, we'll be back. Bill may not be back. I'll be back next Wednesday, and hopefully you can watch this on rebroadcast. We'll see you next Wednesday then at 7. And watch the President. He's coming up in 3 minutes.